Hello, welcome. I am Carol Shu from the Present of Work.
And I am Bruce Honig from Idea Guides.
And today we're going to explore a question that we often hear from our clients, organizational leaders. How might we reduce the silos in my organization? And first, Bruce, you want to say a little bit about what a silo is?
Yeah, a silo is basically when you have groups of people or two or more people who are carrying their function on one side of the organization while others are carrying their function on the other side, and they're not really communicating. So ultimately, what silos mean is that there's very little communication between groups that should perhaps talk. The
Yeah.
question I have, Carol, is why is that so important? Why should they talk?
Yeah, I think
Different
it's,
function.
yeah. Yeah, so I think it's, there's a lot of good reasons for why they don't need to talk because of division of labor. Like I just, focus on marketing, you focus on sales, you focus on engineering. And so in some ways, oftentimes they don't need to talk. However, because of the challenges for organizations these days are complex and multifaceted. Oftentimes, when you want to launch a good product, you really need to integrate the expertise from finance, from marketing, from sales, from engineering, from design, and therefore the different functions don't need to talk all the time, but they have to talk to address complex questions in the organization. And yeah, and then a kind of metaphor is the blind man with the elephant. The elephant is the multifaceted challenge facing the organization. And if different departments only focus on their part of the work, then nobody can see the whole elephant in its full, and nobody can really develop good solutions to it. What do you think, Bruce?
Absolutely. The whether the challenge is small, that is or a process-driven challenge, or you're launching a whole new campaign, marketing campaign, or a developing a new product, or designing a new system, whatever that is, that elephant can be very complex. And if you're only looking at portions of the elephant, the solutions that you would come up with would not be as good, not as effective, uh, and also harder to execute. So that's why you don't want challenges, because problems come up all the time.
Yeah,
I mean, that's why you don't want silos, because problems come up all the time.
yeah, yeah. So, I assume a lot of organizational leaders who are listening now probably would agree. And they are like, okay, okay, I know the problem. And how might we actually reduce the silos? What might be some of the like ways experiments we can do in organizations or interventions, and if we need help from the outside, what kind of help will be most useful?
Yeah, I don't think I've yet to be with a manager or a leader that says, "Oh, we don't have silos at all." Uh, there's always been an issue. Uh, so I think recognizing there are silos or not, that's not the problem. The problem is doing something about it. And so the leaders, they're stymied in terms of what to do about it. And some answers are easy, some interventions are easy, and some are a little more complex. Certainly, one complex one would be to, as we talked about earlier before this, a retreat. where you have the different factions looking at what this metaphoric elephant is and examining what that is, and then saying, well, okay, what do we do about the elephant?
Yeah.
So that's one possibility. Finding ways to get the different groups together, whether if they're departments or functions, because you get multiple functions in a department that sometimes don't talk to each other as well. Uh, uh, Finding different opportunities for them to do to gather, even special team buildings, dinners together. What are some? I see an idea coming out.
Thank you. Yeah. So yes, I think sometime you and I talked about the role of a guide, of an experienced guide. And oftentimes what I observe, if you just ask the department leaders to talk to each other, they might jump into they might jump into the solution that they have in mind. They're like, oh, how to increase our sales? This is the solution from engineering department. This is the solution. And everybody kind of like put sticks around their territory. And so in some ways they're already kind of frozen in terms of like, because if the person who only see the tail of the elephant, of course they're gonna come up with a solution that is to only have the tail in mind. So I think what's really critical is to have a experienced guide, a facilitator. I think oftentimes preferably outside the group, because then that person doesn't have a stake, and then that person can kind of like use kind of if useful mental models to invite people to leave their to be less attached to their perspective, to actually be open to see how other people are viewing the elephant, for example.
Mhm.
And oftentimes it's not as easy because people tend to think, oh, we disagree because of personality, issues. I just don't like this person. But oftentimes people don't know what they don't know. They don't really know, oh, how engineering will see this problem differently. And so I think you and I probably will both agree that, like the first step is not to jump into the solutions, but really like zoom out to kind of see the whole problem space,
Yeah.
and and then see like if we can, like people can see eye to eye with each other, on the problem space, right?
Indeed, and that's really the purpose, is to see eye to eye. That's really what reducing silos do. And you're so right. I so believe in what you're saying. Uh, you need a guide. That's why my business is called Idea Guides. You need a guide because a lot of leaders, they're not really sure how to go about it, what to do. And besides that, you want the leaders need to be part of the narrative,
Yes.
be part of the discussion, and the guide is not. The guide is just simply shows the elephant around, say, oh wait, there's a tail here, but there's also look at the trunk that's trying to come out. So having a guide with the models and approaches to uncovering the different perspectives and then helping people generate what the different solutions are
Yeah.
or resolutions are is, I think, very critical.
Yeah, thank you. I'll just add one more angle, is that people oftentimes already have existing tensions with each other. So I think in this case, a outside facilitator or guide can really, skillfully hold a space for people to look at their tensions or conflict from a different perspective, from a different angle. And that might actually really dig into like why the silos were there in the first place. So
Indeed.
yeah. Yeah,
Great.
thank you. Thank you for
So
exploring this with me, Bruce.
absolutely.
And then for you out there, thank you for listening. Hopefully this is helpful to your organization. Bye.
Bye.